Hey everyone, welcome to the first of what we're calling our ambassador interview series. If you didn't know, MWF has an amazing ambassador program. And throughout this series, you're going to get to meet some of our stellar ambassadors, get to know who they are and a little bit about what they do for the Montana Wildlife Federation. Before we get going, I'm your host, Marcus Strange. I'm the Director of State Policy and Government Relations for MWF. And I've been with the Federation for about 5 years in various roles. And I'm very fortunate that I get to have these conversations with some of our favorite people. For those of you that don't know, we started an ambassador program a couple of years ago. And the idea behind this program was that we needed members and advocates for the Federation to be a voice and to be out in communities, sharing the work that we're doing and helping organize other advocates. So we're very fortunate to have Joliff as one of our ambassadors. I'm going to call her Annie because we're BFFs and I'm super formal like that. So welcome, Annie. Really glad that you could make some time to have this conversation with me today.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have a little bit of a background that I'm going to share, and then you tell me what I got wrong. Sound good?
Okay.
Annie is a native Montanan. She currently works as a field organizer for Wild Montana, and she enjoys everything outdoors. She's very fortunate to be able to go hunting and fishing and hiking and camping and all the things that we love to do with her husband and 5-year-old triplet girls. I just look at that as your own built-in pack string. So, good on you guys for planning that out like that. And it says here that you have a German Wirehaired Pointer. What's its name?
That's Teddy, and he is sleeping on the couch because we went pheasant hunting on Sunday and wore him out.
Way to go, Teddy. How'd you all do on the pheasants?
No pheasants were shot, but we did get a goose. So.
Oh, wow. Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I've got more. Annie has been in love with the outdoors from the moment she was wrapped up as an infant and taken fishing on Lake Elmo in Billings. Speaking of Lake Elmo, I was really glad to see they were putting the water back in. That was kind of freaky when I drove over there a while ago and saw there was no water. So glad that they are putting the water back in. It says here at 6, you caught your first rainbow trout in Corvallis. Is that a fish story or is that true?
No, that's very true. I have the picture to prove it. I'm wearing a Lion King t-shirt.
That's awesome. You started shooting at 10 and at 12 you went on your first elk hunt or just a memorable elk hunt?
Nope, that was my first elk hunt, and it was toward the end of the season that we had some crazy stuff happening.
And looks like also you very recently went on had your first successful solo deer hunt. Is that right?
Yep, last year.
Cool.
Yep.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that you've been into hunting and fishing in the outdoors for your whole life. Why do you think that is? I'm always fascinated by this. Like, what is it that calls to us about these types of activities? What do you think it was for you?
For me, it all goes back to family. Like you said, I was wrapped up. I mean, gosh, I couldn't have been that old, and taken fishing at Lake Elmo. Ever since I can remember, during hunting season, there were dead deer hanging in family garages, taxidermy on the walls. It's always just been a part of life. So I've never really questioned it. It's just something we do, and it provides for our family. It is a way for our family to do things together and be a part of one another's daily activities.
Yeah.
That's grown more strong as I got older.
For sure. So I think everybody who, no matter what your outdoor pursuit is, whether it's, through hiking or morel picking or hunting, everybody's got that kind of go-to story that when you're in a social setting and everybody's busting out their stories that we all share. I know I've got mine. what's your go-to outdoor story when you want to, like, kind of impress people or let them know what you're all about? What's that story that you share?
If my husband's around, I like to share the story where I went on a scouting trip with him and his dad for that bighorn sheep. And it was June in the Missouri River Breaks. There was a big storm, including hail and torrential downpours. We were out scouting on four-wheelers when the hail started. When we got back to the tent, it had been just torn down by the wind. Our
Jeez.
and sleeping bags and pillows were soaked. We still stayed that night. And his dad, when he was cooking the next day, tipped over the pan on accident and
Oh,
put everything
no.
back into the pan off of his trailer. So there were like little pebbles and stuff in our food. And I think that was probably, since I put up with all that, the point where Jason decided that he had to keep me around. So
That's right.
it's a fun story to tell.
So what you're saying was it was just a typical Tuesday in the breaks, right?
Exactly. Eating rocks, sleeping and
That's
soaking things. Yeah.
yeah, that's a very good story. I love that. Kind of moving away from your personal outdoor pursuits, why did you want to become an MWF ambassador?
Because MWF staff people are so cool and I wanted to hang out with them all the time.
I'll get you that 20 I promised you later.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So I started as an Artemis ambassador, gosh, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. Back when they were pretty much just in Montana, and the growth there is insane. And I kind of realized that working with other people, helping other people get out and enjoy the outdoors, feel comfortable in the outdoors, as well as advocating for the outdoors, which is kind of the space that I've really wiggled my way into. It's just so important to me, and I never really realized it until I started being an ambassador. And Montana Wildlife Federation works on all of those fronts, and I thought it was a really great fit. Yeah, and it's honestly been an amazing jumping point for, gosh, the last two years. Things have just exploded.
Yeah, we're doing so much right now. It's incredible, and honestly, we couldn't do it without you and the other ambassadors. Just for fun, let's say you're out at an event tabling for MWF, and somebody says, "MWF, what's MWF? What's your elevator pitch?" Putting you on the spot.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I don't think I was on the list. Montana
Nope.
Wildlife Federation stands for, obviously, conserving wild places, wild spaces, and wildlife, as well as making sure that we have access to those and keeping it in perpetuity for the future.
Crushed it. That was awesome. Why should people care about conservation? There's a lot of different reasons why people care about conservation, but there's also a lot of people who are disconnected. And as the demographics of Montana continue to shift, there's a lot of people that are being introduced to wildlife conservation and wild place conservation really for the first time in a significant way. And I'm just curious, why does that matter for those people who maybe don't hunt or fish? Why should they care about conservation?
I mean, if you're moving to Montana and you don't care about the wildlife or the wild spaces, I don't know why they're moving here. But I think people do crave that outdoor space. Nature is good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health, which, I mean, that's just humanity right there. If you don't have either of those, you're probably not alive. Which, if you're living in Montana, you have those things right outside your door a lot of times. Like we were talking about Billings, like there's so many spots just right outside of Billings, and it's huge, but there's still amazing public spaces. And if we don't work to conserve those and keep those healthy, we're going to lose them. It ruins the entire ecosystem and habitat. If you pave over a wetland, you're losing more than just duck habitat. You're losing a whole ecosystem. You're losing, you're going to end up getting erosion. I mean, like, it just ruins everything if you can't keep ecosystems intact as much as possible. So it all starts with conservation, and it all starts with people speaking up and showing up and not ignoring it.
That's right. And speaking of speaking up and showing up, we're gonna get a little Annie advice here on two different things. But the first one I wanted to ask you about was, people want to get involved. People care about these things, but a lot of people, they're new to it or they don't know where to start. What's one thing that every person listening to this conversation, when they're done listening to you and me chat, what's something they can go do to be an advocate for conservation?
Sign up for the Legislative Action Team. The
Good one.
legislative session is coming right up. We always need people to come talk and testify. If you're not comfortable public speaking, there's a lot of people in the organization who are willing to help with that. I was an English teacher for 9 years, and I coached speech and debate for 3 years. I'm pretty good at helping people feel comfortable when they're speaking publicly. But also, if you really can't handle that, if that is just not your jam, write comments. We're always willing to help out with that as well as ambassadors, and I know the staff has been really helpful also. So join that team, pay attention, get involved, even if it's from your couch.
Yeah. And real quick, just so people know, what is the Legislative Action Team?
So that is what would you call that? Just a section of Montana Wildlife Federation?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Zoom meeting in which,
Yes.
which you can also join from your couch if you so choose, where they go over the legislative session, bills, hearings, things that are coming up, running down the pipeline, so to speak. And there's going to be a ton coming up. So the more people we have on the Legislative Action Team, the more people we can get out there speaking up, the better it's going to look for all of us at the end of the session.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. I think of it as like a behind the scenes group. So there's a lot of things that we put out there public facing, but the Legislative Action Team is really where we dive in to the nitty gritty of what's going on in the policy space and what we need people to be advocating for. So as you pointed out, we have a monthly right now Zoom call. During the session, it'll be a weekly Zoom call where we'll break down all the legislation that's going into committees that week, what we need people to testify on, just all the behind the scenes stuff. And it's a really great way to stay engaged and figure out how to get involved. If you need help writing comments, it's a great place to ask for help because there's a lot of people that are really well informed and really active who can help you. Our ambassadors will be on that. I'll be on that. So yeah, glad you said that. My next question for you is, let's say there's somebody who comes to you who's never hunted before. What's your piece of advice that you give to somebody who says, I want to start hunting? Where do I begin?
Find somebody who is willing to take you out. I've taken a few friends out and they weren't hunting. They just wanted to see what it was all about. If you're past that level and you want to start hunting, again, find somebody who's willing to take you out. Find a lot of people have extra equipment. If I were to take somebody out hunting, they'd probably just use my gun because why not? If we're not quite to that level and we're somewhere in between, go to the shooting range, check things out. There are awesome people who are running some gear libraries in Missoula.
I was just about to bring that up.
Deanna runs that and it is awesome. So there are little programs like that popping up around the state, which is giving more opportunity to people because hunting is not a cheap thing to start. If you're starting from scratch, holy cow, it can be so intimidating. And that's just gear. Figuring out which tags you need, figuring out which areas you can go into. My one recommendation of things to avoid is Facebook groups because people are not nice. So find somebody you like and trust and go from there.
Yeah, that's great advice. And Artemis has a mentorship program for, Artemis has a mentorship program for women who want to get into hunting. There's a group called Hunters of Color for people of color who want to get into hunting. You obviously can reach out to anybody at MWF and we can connect you with mentors if you're new to hunting. And then, yeah, you mentioned Deer Camp. Deer Camp's a really cool program out of Missoula run by one of our other ambassadors, Deanna. And if you go reach out to Deanna on Instagram, I think it's just Deer Camp. If you look up Deer Camp on Instagram, comes up. So it's a great gear. She's calling it a gear library. So you check out gear and then you return it at the end of your hunt or your season or however you want to structure that with her. But yeah, great advice, Annie. We're coming to the end here. I want to do some rapid fire kind of would you rather with you. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. Bait fishing or fly rod?
Fly rod.
Trout or carp?
Trout.
Lake or river?
River.
River. Okay. Bow or rifle?
Rifle, because I'm better at it. Bow is way more fun, but I know I'm probably going to get something if I take my rifle.
I'm always curious, what's your caliber of choice?
So I have had a 7mm 08 since I was 13. My grandpa got it for me.
That's a very fun round.
Yeah, it's done everything for me. So
I shoot a 308 exclusively on everything, and people everybody's got their opinions about stuff, but I think shoot the round that you like. That's fun. I love going to the range and shooting my 308. It is just a blast, and I never am like, oh, I don't want to go shoot. I always want to go shoot it. So I think find the round that works for you, and that's fun to shoot.
Problem with the 7mm 08 is finding ammunition. Nobody around here carries it. Great.
I think that's the problem for everybody. Are you on the lead-free train?
Absolutely.
Nice. Same.
Yes.
Yeah.
In one shot. So I mean, no reason not at that point,
That's right. Yeah. Are you a fall or winter hunter? So snow on the ground or no snow on the ground?
Well, I didn't have a choice this year.
Yeah.
I like hunting in snow.
Are you wall tending it, or are you going ultra light? So like all the bells and whistles at camp, or are you going light and fast?
We are more light and fast usually, but some of my favorite hunts with my husband have definitely been where we take our big old Montana canvas tent out. Yeah, those are fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. Deer or elk? Deer. I tell you what, I love elk hunting so much, but man, mule deer hunting lately has been like I'm getting obsessed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once in a lifetime tags, you draw on a moose tag or a bighorn sheep tag?
Bighorn sheep. I gotta compete.
I'm going moose all the way. I want to get a moose so bad.
Yeah. Be awesome.
Yeah. And what, obviously you love Montana. Montana's an amazing place, but if you got to pick another place to go for kind of like a once in a lifetime hunt or fishing trip or whatever, but you're going to money's no object. You're going to go hunt and experience and fish and whatever in this place, whatever you want to do. Where are you going? Alaska. Yeah.
Or New Zealand. I have a cousin down there, so that'd be a good time too.
That would be very cool. Well, Annie, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It is always fun to chat with you. Thanks for being one of our ambassadors. Before I let you go, do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
No, maybe just stay involved. If you're not involved, get involved, reach out. we are a big group of people who love to help other people.
That's right. Yeah. You can find information about our ambassadors on our website, on our Facebook and Instagram, as well as all the other things that we're doing. MontanaWildlife.org. Yeah, thanks, Annie. I appreciate it. It's good chatting with you. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later.